I'm Carol Duvall, and I'm delighted to have you join me for our home video, Great Gifts. And I think we do have some great gifts for you, too. You might like them so well, you'll make a few for yourself. You know, these home videos are fun, I think, because it gives me a chance to really go through each project step by step by step. Gives you a chance to push the button and fast forward me if you'd rather, or to go back and take another listen. At any rate, I hope you'll enjoy this whole bit, so get your paper and pencil ready and let's start. Well, obviously, frames for photographs must make great gifts because we see them every place, from the corner drugstore to the very fine specialty shops. And we think we've got about the finest right here on some frames that we're going to show you how to make yourself. Not only are they easy, but they're very inexpensive, and they are really quite classy looking. You can also personalize them by more than just putting in a favorite snapshot, but by the colors and the kind of fabric you use. The basis for them, you won't want to tell anybody, but I'll give you the list and surprise you. Foam trays, fabric, glue, scissors, lightweight cardboard, a pen, an X-Acto knife, tape, a toothpick, and if you want them padded, polyester batting. Oh, and a photograph. Okay, you notice the first item that you need, the foam trays? Yep, they're the ones you get at the grocery store with your pork chops or hamburger or chicken or fruit or vegetables or whatever, this kind. Any one of them will do, okay. First step, whatever size or color or shape tray you're using, is to cut off the edges. Now this you can do with scissors. Just cut down like this and break it off like that. From then on, however, you want to use an X-Acto knife or a craft knife because your scissors are liable to smush down foam, and you don't want it squishy. Isn't that nice noise? They love it here, I'm sure. Okay, when you see what size foam you have, that's, of course, when you can decide what size frame you're going to make. You don't want any of the curved edges there at all. I think we can get this one on just about. Now I'll cut it a little skinnier. At any rate, what you do is you draw around it, outline the shape of your frame on all sides, and then cut. Now, if you're very fortunate and have a really good high-class foam tray, what you can do is cut like this. If you run into any little blips, and sometimes you will, then it's best, oh, there I am, if you start cutting your foam up and down like this, because you don't want to tear it. Now, these don't have to be perfect because they're going to be covered with fabric. So if there is a little something once in a while that sticks out, that's all right. You can trim it off with these scissors or your knife. All right, we're now going to end up with, of course, a perfect shape for our frame. Now, what I do usually, in fact always, is I take my X-Acto knife and I cut off the corners like this on all four of them, and then roll them like this. I just like the looks. Besides, I also think they're easier to cover. Do that on all of them. You can do some of the shaping with your hands, too, so that we have it like this. Now we have to pick out some fabric that we're going to use to cover, and cut our fabric a good inch larger than our foam all the way around. Fine with that. Now, what size and shape opening? Well, in this case, I've decided that we want to use an oval. But you don't know how to draw an oval? That's very simple. Take an ordinary piece of paper, fold it in quarters, and then, just as a guide, I usually draw 2 dots. This for the length, this for the width. Now, the first time, it isn't going to work. I mean, it very seldom has anyway. But it gives me a guide to give me an idea about the size and where I need to make it fatter or skinnier or whatever. Now this I know is going to be way too big for this tray, but you see what I mean? Okay, we start from that. Now after a little bit of practicing, I got just exactly the size and shape I wanted for this tray. Place it on top of your foam and then do measure to make sure that you have it perfectly centered. You might want to have it up a little higher from the bottom. On the other hand, if you put it in the center, then you can make your tray or your frame work for pictures either horizontally or vertically. All right, draw around, use this as your guide. And here, again, you can try pulling your knife through, but I really do suggest that you use this up and down movement all the way around and then push it out. Okay, once we get one all cut out, here it is. Now we go to use the fabric. Do not cover it with glue on the front. I don't bother with that at all. It isn't necessary. Now we have this an inch, as I say, or so larger. Just make sure that when you pull it over, if you've made it any bigger than that, that it doesn't extend beyond the opening. This doesn't. It's absolutely perfect. What I usually do is take the glue, and this is a heavy craft glue, but any white glue will do. Just sometimes takes a little bit longer to dry and to hold. But again, quite sparingly, and a toothpick to apply it. You watch me do many crafts where we have glue, and you'll hear that over and over and over until it gets boring, but I can't say it too often. And even then, look, I have enough glue really to come down to the ends. Okay, now pull this over on both sides and pull it so that it's really taut across the front. You want to try to be neat, but nobody's going to see that, so it isn't really going to be too terrible if it isn't perfect. Pull it very, very tight. Do not go all the way to the corners, just where it maybe begins to curve. All right, then do the same on the other ends, like this. Because after it's glued, then I go back and gather up the material at the corners and glue that separately and trim where necessary, so that it's like this before we get it down, like this after we get it down. Now, we're going to cut out the center here, as I have already done, leaving a good 3/4 of an inch. And we're going to slash, but not all the way to the foam, because this is thick foam. It's a good 1/8 of an inch thick, and when we pull this fabric back, we do not want any of that foam raw edge to show. So we leave that little space. Then after it's slashed all the way around, again with your toothpick, apply glue, bring this back, and make it neat and tidy, like this, and like that on the front. Wonderful, we're almost finished. All we have to do now is to take a piece of cardboard, any cardboard, cover it with the fabric, and cut it so that it's just about 1/4 of an inch smaller than the frame on all sides. When you glue it on, glue it just along the outer edges, along the 2 sides and the bottom. After all, you do need to leave some opening to slip that picture inside. And there's one other little thing you might want to do, some acetate. You can buy that at your art supply store. You can get some plastic at the hardware store. You might even find that you have stationery around the house that has that kind of a cover on it. Now this can go on a wall, or you can cut yourself a little strip of cardboard, score it like this, cover it with fabric, and glue it to the back for a little easel. Now I also know that even though this looks kind of padded because of the nice thickness of the frame, of the foam, a lot of folks really do want that padded look. Most of those frames you have to sew, not this one. We go back to the one step. After we had this cut out, before we cover it with fabric, take some polyfill batten, cut it the same size, and cut out the center, as we did here. And if you want it really fat, cut 2 layers. You want it not so fat, 1. And then it's exactly as we did for the rest of it. Pull it back, you glue, you do the corners, and the frame that we have up here is this same frame, except that it's now horizontal and it's padded. But it's the same one you just saw me make in yellow the other way. Now take a look at some of these and see the variations. You can put a little bit of lace in between the front and the back of your frame. You can make heart-shaped frame, but I have to tell you this, unless it's a picture of 2 people, it's very difficult. You're liable to poke somebody in the head with the center of the heart. You can make a large frame for a man's picture or a grown boy's picture and cover it with tweed, different kinds of fabric. Make it in contemporary. Well, you get the idea. Just get started, and you probably won't know when to stop. Next in our great gifts is one for the baby's room, your baby or somebody else's. These are our teddy bear mobiles, and we have them in a couple of different sizes, and there's no sewing, all cut and glue. Here's what you'll need. A lightweight cardboard, paper plates, index cards will do, or poster board too. Colorful felt squares, some nylon fishing line or sewing thread, white glue, a black marking pen, 12-inch square of plexiglass cut into a circle or a 12-inch embroidery hoop, and scissors, glue, and a toothpick. Okay, we've made our teddy bears in 2 different sizes, and you can do the same thing if you'd like to, or you have a choice because you have patterns for both sizes in the box that your tape came in. fact, you can take it to the copying machine and make it bigger or smaller than we've given you even. But this should be okay. Now we want to take those patterns, cut them out, and transfer them to lightweight cardboard. Poster board probably for the larger one if you use that, but golly, a paper plate or an index card would work for the smaller one. It's just that when you make so many times you have to draw around it, it's really difficult on paper. So okay, we've cut out our large teddy bear. Put him aside for a moment while we cut out a whole bunch of squares of cardboard. For the large one, again, poster board. For the smaller ones, you can use lighter weight if you would like to. And cover one side with the felt of your choice. A lot of white glue, put on smoothly, press down. And depends on how many teddy bears you want. That's how many of these that you make. Put your pattern on, draw around it, and then cut it out. And when it's cut out, then you take it and turn it over and glue it to another piece of felt and cut this out. So now you have a teddy bear that's a sandwich. Cardboard in the middle, felt on either side. And the fun part comes now when you put on the face. And, of course, the little pads. Because our teddy bear is pink, and you can make them obviously in any color, we've used blue pads. And his bow, instead of being a real ribbon, which you might prefer, I just cut another strip of the same blue felt and just glued it right there. Now his mouth and his eyes, again, you have patterns for. You can just cut those out or trace them. And again, it's your choice of color. But it's the placement that really is important. These will all be applied with white glue, and the reason I keep holding this toothpick is that's the way I apply the glue when it's in small areas, so you don't get too much on. All right. Again, I thought we might have blue eyes and decided I like the black better. Cute bear? Well, yes. I mean, there isn't such a thing as an uncute teddy, but look at what happens when you move these eyes down so that they're almost even with the nose. I think anyway it's cuter. Now you might want to have those eyes spread out. You might want them a little closer. But at any rate, with just 2 circles of felt, you really can change his expression. We have our nice little teddy over here in the small size too, and you would do the same thing. Now there's one more step that you might want to do to complete this, and I kind of do. You can see the cardboard here. There's nothing offensive about it, but if you'd like to cover it up again with a little bit of glue on your toothpick, along here, and then apply some yarn. You could use, some light blue, some light pink, whatever yarn you want to do. Just press it into place. It really doesn't take long. On this little teddy, you notice I used embroidery thread. Sounds like that's terribly detailed. It's not at all. Again, you put the glue on with the toothpick and push along here with your toothpick. No problem at all on that, honestly. Now there's one other thing I did to this little guy that I didn't to the big one. I drew a little line, his little stitching line down here. I do think it makes a difference. Now we want to hang him up, so you can use white thread, but if you have, again, nylon fishing line, it's almost invisible. Just thread it through a needle, pull it through his forehead. It doesn't hurt him. Honestly, it doesn't. And you will adjust the length of that thread later, after you've hung him on whichever you're going to hang him on. In this case, we're going to use an embroidery hoop. This is a 12-incher, and 6 or 7 of the large size teddies look nice on this one. Okay, you're going to hang it also with the almost invisible nylon cord, but I'm using yarn here so that you can see. Just a couple of whips around. I do it twice. I don't know why. I just feel more secure about it. Pull it very taut. And if it loosens up, that's all right. When you go to tie it, pull it taut. Because this is where you're going to hang the teddies from those cords as well as from around the edge. Okay, pull that very tightly up here and then do the same thing in the opposite direction. When you go to hang this, you'll pull all 4 cords together, tie them, and then balance it. Now, before we hang this or add the teddies, however, it'd be kind of fun to glue, a little bit of eyelet around here. You see we've got our pink and blue teddies here. We have some blue lace around. On our yellow teddy bear mobile, we have yellow lace. And on our mobile that has all the multicolored teddies, we've used actually a circle of plexiglass. This is just a little trickier because you have to cut a circle of plexiglass. Incidentally, this is 1/8 of an inch thick, and you can buy it by the square foot at the hardware store. And I drilled holes in it and tied the nylon fishing cord that I hung the teddies with around little beads up there. So any way you want to do it, it's easy, fun, and you still have a chance for a lot of individuality in size, in color, and even how you hang the things up. Then you need a music box and put it with it, and any baby should love it. Oh, coming up, my all-time very favorite great gift. I don't know whether I think it's better to make it and give it or to receive it. At any rate, it's easy, it's inexpensive, it's fun, it's nifty, and I'm going to put one together before your very eyes. Look, 3 pieces of felt, 2 pieces of red felt, 1 piece of green felt, slashes in the middle. Do you have any idea what happens? I'll show you. I'll show you. It's like magic. Of course, you'll see how we do this again later, too. But this makes a great tuck-in because obviously, since you have just 3 flat felt pieces, you can stick it in an envelope. That's what a tuck-in is, you know, in case you didn't know. When you want to send more than a card but less than a big gift, it tucks right in with the card in your envelope. Okay, pull this through. Before your very eyes, there forms a pretty flower, and it's a napkin ring. Isn't that nifty? Isn't that pretty? Isn't that easy? And here's all you need to make one. Red and green felt pieces, the 9 by 12 pieces, some freezer wrap, pen and pencil, and a pair of scissors. Okay, back to the beginning. Now, in with your videotape, you received a sheet of paper with the main pattern pieces on. So this is our dog bone centerpiece. And the flower petal and the leaf. Cut them out. And if you're going to be making a number of these, and you probably will be, it's a good idea to transfer them to a lightweight cardboard. It's so much easier to trace around. Now, if you've made anything of felt, then I'm sure you've done the usual trick. You take your piece of felt, and you put your pattern on it, and you draw around it. And if it's light felt, you use a dark pen, and if it's dark felt, you use a light pen. And then when you cut it out, you try very hard to cut inside those lines. No more. Here's a hint a viewer gave to me some years ago, and it excited me so I started making felt things like crazy even when I didn't want to make felt things. All right, here's the red felt. Here's a piece of freezer wrap paper. Now, this is the freezer wrap, you know, that you buy in your grocery store, and it's flat on one side and waxed on the other. You put it waxed side down and run a warm iron over it. Not back and forth, just run it over enough just to melt that wax. You lift the iron off, the wax hardens again, and it makes the paper adhere to the felt. See, it sort of laminates it. Now you can put your pattern on and draw around it, and this one, and on your green felt the same thing, and cut it out. And they will stay together while you cut them out. No problem there at all. And when you have it all cut out, then you peel it apart. No lines on anything. Isn't that great? All right, now the only thing left here is to cut a little slash, and you'll see on your pattern that there's a slash in the center of the flower petal and the leaf. Notice, please, that you fold, how you fold them. And it shows you how the slash is in there. This is where we cut the slash there. And in our petal, we folded it this way. Reason being, we want these 2 slashes to line up so that when we put them together, the petal of the flower alternates with the leaf, okay? Now here we go again. We take our dog bone, fold it in half, scrunch it up together there, pull it through here, and pull it through there. Remember, of course, if you send one of these in an envelope or send it flat as a gift, be sure to explain, you know, what the recipient is supposed to do to put them together. Isn't that nifty? Now, this is Christmassy, and here's something that's, well, that can be any time, but here's really Christmassy. The center is very simple. That's just a strip that we've slashed at the ends. And I don't know how much this really looks like a poinsettia, except that it's at Christmas time, so you know that's what it's supposed to be. And here I made 2 sets of petals. Again, putting the slash so that they alternate. And this through here. You might think of some other designs, too, while you get going on it. Wouldn't that be pretty on a Christmas table? On a white napkin, perhaps? I think it's kind of nice, but that's not limited to holiday gifts, for goodness sakes. Look at this in yellow, our rose again, on a springtime table. You can make them in all different colors and send them to someone. How about to Mother for Mother's Day, and she has a spring luncheon. You can make them in different sizes. These are little pins. There's little safety pins on the back. These go around the neck ropes, the lariat type thing. The bolo. Here are these for the bridge girls. for the bridge pencils. Different sizes, different gifts, different people. All fun and great for the kids to make because there's no painting, there's no gluing, there's no sewing, there's no mess. Totes are great to give as gifts and to give gifts in. And we're going to make a whole bunch of them today, or to tell you how. Won't even give you exactly how much material you should get because it depends on what tote you're going to want to make. But here's what you will need. Material of your choice, needle and thread, sewing machine, scissors, and a ruler. Now you notice I did not say you're going to need a pattern because we're going to show you sort of how to use a ruler and a pen to make it as you go. Just straight lines is all we'll have. Now the fabric that you select, of course, really will be determined by what you want to use it for. If it's just a good general carry everything in or to give to somebody for that kind of a tote, then you want something like maybe a denim or a heavy twill, a sturdy. But if you want it a little fancier, you might have a quilted fabric or, well, we'll show you some of our ideas and then you decide from there. Now, how much material to get? All right. Let me get a tote here and show you how, the height, the width, whatever. Decide how high you want it. How high do you want your tote? This is what I mean by high. And it's that deep. That's this measurement. Now it's got two sides, so that's this measurement here, the same. This at the end is the hem. An inch hem maybe? Maybe you want to fold it over twice. At any rate, that's the hem. Hem up there. Hem at this end. Now what's this? Well, this is how much it is across the bottom. So you see here it is. Let me hold this up. Hem on each side, side of the bag, bottom of the bag, the other side. It's not complicated. Honestly, when you get doing it, you'll see it falls into place. All right. Now, this is the width of the bag. How wide do you want it? From side to side. That's this. Obviously, this is a short and fat one, and this is a tall and skinny one. This is the width. This measurement here is the side. And that is the same as this, because that's the piece that goes across the bottom. And this is how much of a hem. And you have twice. In other words, you have a half an inch hem on one side and half an inch hem on the other. So this is a 1 inch. I could have put that on this side. Got it? You will as we go along. Now, here's the steps, and you do not have to be a seamstress, just some straight lines. Okay, fold it in half. Now, this is the wrong side out. Sew up the two sides, taking whatever inch, I usually take about a half an inch. This is now what it will look like. Now we're going to take it, this is the fun part, I think. Put our hands inside, go like that, okay? This is going to be one of those stand-up totes. It's going to have a nice flat bottom on it. And this is what we want to make sure that these points meet. If need be, if they don't fall together that perfectly, well then press them. Now how wide did you want your bag across the bottom? 3 inches? Okay. Then you're going to sew across here, and that line should be 3 inches. Obviously, you just move your ruler up and down until you get 3 inches. However, be sure you measure from this point down and this point down to make sure you have that line straight across here. Absolutely straight, not at an angle. Because, take a look at this, where I've sewn. Does that look crooked? Of course it looks crooked. It's because this is over. But believe me, trust me, I measured. This measurement is the same as this measurement. It's an optical illusion, so be sure. Now you're going to sew through here, but be sure, for goodness sakes, that you do it on this side and then on this side. Don't throw through all four at one time. Okay, now you can decide if you want to turn your hem down. At least I do it. Now you could do it at the very beginning of making this, of course. I like to do it at this point. Now here's the fun part. You turn it right side too. And look, you've got a nice flat bottom along there. Now again, you can just turn this hem down twice and hand stitch it or machine stitch it, put your handles on and you've got a tote. But if you would like to have it lined, and I think that's kind of nice, we do the same thing. We make another one just like that, get to this point where we're going to open it up and turn it right side too, but don't turn it right side too. It's the same size. It's the same size. Unless you're using, I don't know, material 1/4 of an inch thick, it isn't going to make that much difference. So if you put it in, you see, without turning it right side out, the wrong side's going to be inside. Now, this is the tricky part, because this is when you have to make a decision. Now, are you going to bring this over and cuff it and give another color there? Are you going to fold them both in and hem stitch it around the top so that it's just like that? That's a decision I can't make for you, but you do have a choice here, that's for sure. And of course, you're going to want handles. Now, the handles can go from here to here on either side, or they can go across. Usually they go from here to here. And how do you make them? Well, of course, you probably know, if you do any sewing at all, you cut a strip of material twice as wide as you want your handle to be, stitch it lengthwise, and turn it right side too. And how do we usually turn it right side too? Most of us, I think, take the safety pin, stick it in there, and pull it through. Let me show you a perfectly wonderful way of turning tubes. Now, if it's a big tube, you can just take a cardboard core from wax paper or something. But this is skinny. I couldn't get that in there. So I took a piece of cardboard, scored it, and folded it into a triangle, as you can see. And that's just masking tape on there to hold. This is not going to win any beauty prizes. I just wanted it to work. We're going to stick it inside, and it must be, of course, small enough that it's going to slip inside your tube. And it may be, if it's longer than your tube, okay, just scrunch it all up. Now take a piece of wire. I just happen to find this wire around here, but you've somewhere around the house you've got a wire, and if it's a big one, you can even use a hunk of coat hanger. Put a hook on the end of it. Now grab that material in that hook, and then make sure it gets in there. Usually it'll go by itself. I didn't want any mistakes here. And give it a pull. Isn't that wonderful? I just made tubes just to make tubes and make that happen. And you can turn it back the other way again if you want to, too. All right, then you stitch your handles on. And again, as I say, they can go side by side. I'll show you some of our finished totes so that you can get an idea. Here's one you saw at the very beginning. And this, of course, was a Christmas thing made of very lightweight Christmas material and just turned the tops in. In fact, I even stitched that by hand or by machine. And here are our two handles there. That's for carrying Christmas things. Here's sort of a lovely one out of a pink quilted fabric lined with a lovely cotton, polished cotton in a rose. And here I stitched the handles on the inside. As you can see exactly how they go, and made the lining. You can see what I decided on this one, to bring the lining over and have that little hem here. Here's one that's great fun. Wonderful, bright, shiny material, and the lining on this one, big handles, big long handles. This goes over the shoulder because inside I went to the hardware store and I got some of this plastic, kind that is used sometimes to protect things, cover windows in the wintertime, and just made this exactly as you saw the lining tote being made, and put it inside. Now, what I also did here, besides the handles, is I took little tabs, made little tabs on this side and this side with Velcro. So it goes like this, goes like this, and then when you've got it loaded with all your beach gear and everything like that, I mean, it's a nifty, great, wonderful thing to go over your shoulder. Oh, can I give you one little more quick one? Just one little quick one. Make a bunch of these for the kids. This is the theory anyway. See-through plastic. You buy that at the hardware store too. Get one of these hangers to put on the wall. Then all their little things, their crayons, their dominoes, their checkers, their little cars, their games that pieces never get put back in the box, will hang on the wall. They can dump them out and dump them back in again. All from one pattern for one tote. A lot of gifts for a lot of people. And easy, huh? Well, we have a great gifts idea for you now, because it's one idea that really covers a multitude of occasions. Easy to make, too. Here's all you'll need. A writing tablet, a pen, ruler, scissors, glue, and fabric or wallpaper or adhesive back paper. And then a trim you want for whatever book you're doing. Perhaps you've seen in the stores from time to time a hardcover book that has nothing but empty pages inside. They're usually called the nothing books because there's nothing in them. Well, we have a book that's filled with empty pages when you start, but I call it the everything book because the idea is that by the time you finish with it, it's just going to be full of everything that's important to you or to the person that you give this to. This is really a nice gift to give to somebody who's a clipper or a saver. It's just a notepad of paper covered with fabric or wallpaper or adhesive back paper, and you explain to them why you are giving them an empty page book with this poem, the everything book. All of the things that you want to remember from the first of the year to the last of December, just write in the pages of this little book, and then when you want them again, you'll know where to look. Recipes, ideas, a pattern or two, whatever it is that's important to you, write it right down, write it here, right away, and your everything book will grow day by day. Well, obviously, if the friend you want to give this to is a real clipper and a saver, you might want to make a much bigger book than that. But this is the idea. I was so delighted with it myself that I made one for myself. Not an everything book, but a Christmas book. And I got this idea from some friends when they packed their Christmas ornaments away, they would always write on the outside of the carton. I thought, well, I'll do a little book. An everything book for Christmas, and it looks like this. And it also has a poem. You may want to fast forward. My feelings won't be hurt. This was just a gift for me and my family. The Christmas book. It was Christmas again, and all through the place there was laughter and fun and a smile on each face. The gifts were all wrapped. The place was aglow, and to make it just perfect, there was even some snow. Cards arrive daily, along with family and friends, and I've detailed it here, so when the year ends, I'll have a record to read to help me remember the who, what, and where of this year's December. And of course, what you do then is you pack it away with the ornaments and everything, and next year when you drag them all out to trim the tree, you can read, and maybe you'll have photographs, everything, all the memories of this Christmas, and you can read about them and remember them next Christmas. After 3 or 4 or 5 or 10 years, and we all know how fast those years go by, just think of what fun it will be to bring these out. A different book for each year. Again, you might want it bigger than that. Now, regardless of whether you're making it for Christmas, for yourself, or these also make nice gifts to give to somebody else, or an everything book, or some of the others we have, let me show you the basic idea of how they were done, whatever size. All right, this is the small notepad, as you can see. Now, if it has a cover like this, as many do, they're kind of flimsy, take a piece of cardboard. This was off the back of some writing paper, really. Just cut it to size and glue it right to the front, just to give it more body. We've done that on several of ours. Then whatever you're going to be covering it with, whether it's contact paper, as I have here, or fabric, or wallpaper, lay your book flat and cut it about 1 inch larger on all sides. When you know you have it the right size, then of course you either peel it like this, or you would put glue on it. And in this case, I would put the adhesive on the booklet itself and do it 1 page at a time. In other words, place it down here, then on the spine, and then on this side. Okay. Whichever, as I say, whatever kind of material you're using to cover it. Then cut the corners. Whoops, let's get this back here. Cut all the corners off. Now, not right to the cardboard, but very close to it. Just about a hair's breadth away. And since you know how to cut, we'll go to the one that is already cut, because of course we're going to cut slashes at the spine too. But you can see that this will give you a nice neat fold over here when you do that at each side. Now we've cut this, so then this gets folded up and back. Give a nice neat press to the spine. And see these over that. Now, when you get both of those sides done, cut another piece that's just a little bit smaller than the page, and you'll cover up all of this. Just gives it a nice little finished look. Whatever book you're making and whatever you're covering it with, that's basically it. Okay, now here's how you add the ribbon. Open it up, and at least this is what I did. Just glued it in there, coming around to the front and here, and then did one in the opposite direction too, here. See how this goes? And then add your bow in the front, and of course a little card if you'd like. What about all those bridal showers? I mean, into every life, some bridal shower must fall. So here's one that is just sort of a little extra gift to give to the bride, and this might be presented by the hostess. This one, of course, as you can see, is just covered with contact, and I cut the letters out from my friends because that's who this is from. Everybody contributes their favorite recipe, and they write it on the pages in this little book. You can decorate it this way. Here's another way, also with contact, and the letters were cut out of construction paper. And, okay, here's the poem that goes in the front of that one. This little book was written for you by a bunch of your friends and some relatives, too. Our favorite dishes are here. Everyone is a winner. We hope you'll enjoy them when you fix them for dinner. And each one is accompanied by our very best wishes that you'll even be happy when you're doing the dishes. Then, of course, everybody who's a guest at the shower signs it. And you might add some little household hints, some little things you've learned along the way to make your life easier as a housewife. And I think any bride-to-be should be happy to receive that one. Oh, what comes after the bridal shower? Well, of course, there's the baby shower. And this one, isn't this a cute one? This could be the book that you give for, oh, the baby's diary, the baby's first remarks, whatever, a baby book. And the poem that goes in there, you write that one. More great gifts, and these are unique. There's a delightful one for the bride, one for the birthday boy, one for any little girl. And we're going to show you how you can send in for written directions for making them at the end of the tape. But right now, Cindy Groom Harry's here to show us how to make this little fellow that's a perfect gift for anybody you really love. And here's what you'll need to make him. Renews-It adjustable air freshener, 1 3-inch beige pom-pom, 2 1-inch pink pom-poms, 1 3/4-inch black pom-pom, black and red felt scraps, 2 10mm wiggle eyes, beige and pink acrylic paint and a paintbrush, fine sandpaper, a 32-inch length of brown jumbo loopy chenille, a 12-inch length of 1/2-inch wide pink craft ribbon, 6 1-inch red heart stickers, a permanent black marker, scissors, hot glue gun or thick craft glue, and paper and pencil. Okay, Cindy, share your secrets. How did you make this cute little thing?
Well, Carol, he's made out of a Renews-It adjustable air freshener. And in order to prepare it for painting, you need to lightly sand both the topper and the base with a fine sandpaper. Then use an acrylic craft paint. Paint the top beige and the bottom pink. Let them dry. Give them a couple of coats just to make sure it covers well. Let it dry. Then glue a 3-inch beige pom-pom to the top using either a hot glue gun or a white craft glue. After that's dry, you can decorate the face using a couple of little pink pom-poms for the jowls, a little black one for the nose, and glue those in place, making sure that you keep the features nice and low for a cute look. Then you can make a little tongue out of a piece of red felt, glue that underneath as well. Then for the eyelashes, you can go ahead and use about 1/4 inch by 3/4 inch. And here I've made a pattern to show you that just simply cut out this shape and then make little snips, almost like piano keys.
I'm just going to say it looks like a very tiny piano.
Right. And then you can expand it to create the little lashes. Glue it right over the pom-poms, and we've kept these pom-poms nice and low so that it gives a cute look.
How did we survive in crafts without pom-poms?
Well, that's true. It's perfect for features. Then add little wiggle eyes right below the eyelashes, and you have the facial features. We need to add ears, however, and in order to do that, we're using a 4-inch length of jumbo loopy chenille.
Does that have wire in it like regular chenille?
That's right.
Oh, yeah.
And you buy it by the yard. And a tip about this is when you cut this off, you can bend under the little wire filament to prevent it from fraying. To make the ears, add a little glue, press it onto the sides. Flip it up if you want for a cute look.
That's a funny looking dog.
Well, it's a puppy though. Then you can, in order to make the hip, this is a 7-inch length of chenille, and see how this bends so easily. So if you don't get it perfect the first time, you can experiment. But mentally divide this into thirds. Band it up for the hip portion and out for the foot. Put glue and press it onto the side, keeping this all above the base. Do the same thing on the other side. For the tail, you'll use a 1.5-inch length and glue that right to the back, like so.
And that's above the base, too.
That's also above the base.
You're going to tell us later there's a reason for this.
That's our surprise.
Oh,
we'll wait
okay.
till later on that. Now, the next thing that you'll need to do is make the paws. And this is simply a 4-inch length glued to the shoulder. Now after all of those are made, we need to add a little bow. So make a bow out of a 12-inch length and glue it to the top. And this is what it'll look like this far along.
It certainly did turn out to be that cute little thing. It was pretty silly looking along the way, but that's darling.
Well, this is the fun part, is that you can now personalize it for anyone that you would like to give it to. And what we've done here is make about a 2-inch heart pattern, just like we did in kindergarten, folding the paper scrap in half, taping the pattern, cutting it out, then taping it to the felt, cutting out 2 pieces at the same time so that we get 2 hearts. And then we've used a 12-inch length of pre-gathered eyelet lace. And I want to show you how to glue this on here, because there is a tip on this too. Apply about an inch of glue at a time, pressing this binding and gathering it just slightly so that it'll go around the edges real well, and continue all the way around the heart in this way so that it will look like this. Then what you'll need to do is glue the other heart over the top of it, like so. And you can put a little red sticker here, or some little piece of paper that you've cut out that you can write a person's name on it in a permanent felt tip marker. And then put it in the puppy's paws, and you have a perfect gift for giving to someone you care so much about. Great part about this is that you can also use it as an air freshener, because the top will still come up and scent the room.
Cindy, thank you for sharing this cute idea with us. Appreciate your visit. Okay, that's it. I hope you enjoyed our great gifts and were inspired enough that you're going to make some now, too, for your friends and family and maybe even yourself. And maybe you had a good enough time that we can get together again sometime.